All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming tonight. Great energy already. My name is EJ Suraki. I'm part of the steering committee. I'm going to just talk for a couple minutes about a couple of things that we on the steering committee have realized over the last few months, which is we are not very good at telling people what NDFA is here for, what our mission is, and why we do the things we do, especially for folks who are new. So I'm going to take a couple minutes to talk about that before we get on with the rest of the amazing program. So it really boils down to three main points. Point one is that we are a candidate-driven organization. So our mission is to get progressive candidates elected to seats. Sure, we all care very much about issues and policies, but it's those candidates that we want to get elected. And so we focus all of our other policies on that activity. Number two, our endorsements are about getting people elected. And that really means not sending out mailers or push polls. It's getting the people in the room, getting our members out working for those candidates. Because we believe that good, informed, passionate volunteers for campaigns are the best way to move forward. And three, we are member driven. So every candidate you hear tonight, every candidate that we endorse is somebody that our members asked to be here. So when you combine all those three things and you think about how important it is for us to encourage that work, the work to be done out knocking on doors, calling people with knowledge and understanding and passion about the candidates, it kind of leads you to some of the conclusions that we have, that maybe it's okay to endorse more than one candidate per race, because we always want to encourage that work to be done. And we know that's a bit different, it's a bit strange, but it's something we believe in because our members are willing to endorse those candidates. So the other part of that is that when we say progressive, that could have a big definition. There could be more than one progressive candidate in a race, and we're okay with that. And it also means as we're talking about the candidates, as we're talking about the issues, we're going to disagree. We're going to be passionate. We're going to really care about candidates, but we're going to support each other. So today when you hear the candidates speak, they may have a slightly different definition of progressive than you, and that's okay. That's good. When you hear our members speak, when we talk about the candidates that we want to endorse, we won't always agree. That's also great. So we really encourage that sort of healthy debate, and we want to remind everybody that we're in this big tent together. We have a really consequential election. We've got a third of the city council that's leaving. We've got Thank God. We've got an entire new police board that we've got to fill with progressive candidates. So keep that in mind. Healthy debate, right? But respect everybody's opinion. That's the most important thing we can do to stay together and move forward. All right, and I get to hand it over. It is really my great pleasure to Congressperson-elect Ramirez, who's with us tonight. So give her a big hand. As she comes up.
Happy Wednesday evening, everyone. So I want to share some news that I haven't even shared with some of my friends here tonight. But today at 5 p.m. was my last day officially as state representative of the 4th House District. So bittersweet, so that I can finalize my transition and becoming the Congresswoman of the 3rd Congressional District. And tomorrow, I am told that my successor will be getting sworn in, Lillian Jimenez, who you endorsed, so thank you for that. She will be the next state representative of the 4th House. I just wanted to say hello and also just say thank you to NDFA for all the ways that you showed up for me and for candidates this last election during the primary. It means so much to have the support of organizations like yours that are grassroots, that are about community, that are about building progressive power, and are about building that coalition together. Without that support, I wouldn't be where I'm at, and I certainly wouldn't be honored to be able to serve as the first of many Latinas in the entire Midwest in Congress. So I just want to say thank you to NDFA, just how important it is to keep supporting it, to pay your membership dues. So if you're not a member, they didn't ask me to say that, so you're welcome. Make sure you pay those dues. We want to make sure that organizations like NDFA continue to be around, that we strengthen their work, that they're able to keep building, because it really makes a difference for us. If we want to be able to have the kind of elected officials that are held accountable, that do the work and represent our communities. So thank you, NDFA, and congratulations to all of you who are already on the ballot, who are fighting to get on the ballot, who are really working and putting your name out there for democracy. Congrats.
We have a busy schedule today. That includes Rebecca Janowitz from the 43rd Ward, Lori Torres-Witt from 36, Jesse Fuentes from 26, and Victoria Alvarez from the 15th. Okay, hi, this is Ray and Becky. Welcome to NDFA. Yes, come on, we want to see you. Whose mission is to be an elected, progressive, and ethically committed Democrat to office at all levels of government. We want to welcome any people that are watching this virtual meeting or in person for the first time. Hi. Please make sure NDFA has your email address by signing up on the Google form posted on the comments in Facebook or at the NDFA tables, which is over here. Okay, let's give a shout out to 99 Perspectives and the technical support gurus. Hello, Daniel. This is his first time. So who's producing the show? Becky, Joe, and Ray will be hosting this event.
Watch your pluses.
Okay. Welcome, NDFA members: Mary, EJ, Kevin, Mary Claire, Joe, Melissa, Robert, Becky, and membership and guests in general. You've become a voting member by attending 3 meetings and 3 activities for endorsed candidates. Please report both kinds of attendance to Northside DFA at gmail.com. And we also want to talk a little bit about the police district council meetings we're having, and Becky is leadership of them. Did you want to say a sentence or two about them?
Sure. So we had our first forum last night, focusing on Northside districts. We have our second forum tomorrow night, focusing on districts 17, 20, and 24 on the far north side. The forum streams live on Facebook Live. It will also be recorded so that you can watch it later. For those of you who are NDFA voting members, you will get an email telling you how to vote electronically probably sometime next week. So look forward to that, because we're excited about the opportunity to endorse candidates in these races. We heard from some terrific candidates last night. I know at least one of them is in the room here, so I hope you got a chance to talk to her. And if there are any other candidates in the room, we hope you got a chance to talk to them. Thanks.
That was a good commercial break. Don't forget about NDFA's tip jar to help support the cost of these video casts and live meetings that can be found on our Facebook page and website. And also over here on the table. We accept cash too. Please eat and drink from friendly fireside staff members. NDFA has a minimum tab that has to be covered. We also had a fundraiser at Tada's Tacos that was a great success. But if you still feel like putting us on your Christmas list for donations, we're here.
Ray,
So,
I just want to say thank you to everyone who donated. It was what do you mean I'm not loud enough? Our fundraiser was tremendously successful. Thanks to
so we can all hear.
Okay.
yes, there we go.
I'm an accountant, I'm not used to this, okay? Our fundraiser was a tremendous success. I want to thank everyone who donated so generously. This technical support we have, the emails we send out, that all cost us a little bit of money, and it's not a lot, but we need it every month, and because of the success that we had, we've got money in the bank to be able to dream dreams and think and do some more outreach. So thank you very much.
And thank you, Mary. Okay, without any further ado, we want to bring up Lori Torres-Witt from the 36th Ward, running as the candidate. Hello, Lori. Okay. Lori, we'll give you like 2 minutes to speak and introduce yourself, and then have some questions from the audience.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the invitation tonight. I'm seated with introducing myself to you. So I am Lori Torres-Witt. I am a mother. I am a CPS teacher with 3 kids in the system. I'm a Chicago girl, born and raised in Westtown, Humboldt Park, and I have been a teacher for now 24 years. As a teacher and as a mom with kids in the system, education is something that we push for every day in my household and every day I stand in front of students. My kids are fortunate enough to have parents who can grant them access to things that my students don't have. As a teacher and as a mom, there are things that I see that come into our classrooms every day and stories that come home with my kids every day that led me to make the decision to run in this race. If you've looked at this map, the 36th Ward neighbors just about everybody, which means that in order to do this job and to do it well, I have to be a willing participant and a listener in order to lead properly. And with the neighbors that I work with, I am working to recognize what's important to 8 miles worth of people. And the only way for me to be able to prioritize those things is to continue having those conversations. I'm an educator. I see kids who come in with trauma. We need support for that. I see schools, and I'm in schools that need to be fully staffed. We can't reach everyone if we don't have enough people. Kids have come to us in different states of trauma, and as a mom, it's important to me to be able to listen and have that opportunity. And so for that, and for my own, I want to and will be the next alderperson of the 36th Ward. Thank you.
Questions from the audience? Anybody?
Oh, thank God.
Very clear.
Who is currently the alderperson in the police?
So currently, the person who represents the 36th Ward as it is today is Alderman Gilbert Villegas. Yes.
So kind of a weird question. You're 36, just to reaffirm, it's Westtown and parts of Humboldt Park, right?
Westtown, Ukrainian Village, Humboldt Park,
Okay.
Belmont Cragen.
I grew up in Belmont Cragen.
I'll keep going if
I
you
grew up
like.
in Belmont Cragen.
Okay.
But like we have parts of Westtown and all that other areas. Some of the areas that are not Westtown, I don't think affordable living, you know. But the other areas, like how will you fight off gentrification in like Belmont Cragen, which that is I don't think it's facing it as much, but like or Humboldt Park, especially we get some people like running for office. Like for example, I love Riot Fest, but the bad parts about Riot Fest is a festival that does bring in gentrification, it does bring in white supremacy and pushes poor people out to a degree. Like, how would you deal with those contradictions?
As a member of Grassroots Illinois Action, we have organized around affordable housing, and we have worked with community to help them remain in Humboldt Park. Speaking of Riot Fest, we also help to get them out of our backyard.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
And so when I think about what gentrification has done to Westtown, Humboldt Park, my family came to Chicago, lived in Lincoln Park, got pushed to Wicker Park, got pushed to Humboldt Park, and beyond. I've been here my entire life, born and raised, and it is my mission to make sure that our people who want to stay get a chance to stay. I mean, I just opened my tax bill. it's frightening. And so we need other streams to help our people stay in our communities.
I guess let's talk a little bit more about affordable housing. What additional programs are you planning to bring in affordable housing to your district?
I was at a housing informational yesterday, and they spoke to the different programs that exist at the city level, either exist or are slated and on the way, that will help people who have struggles and are on the verge of eviction, of things of that nature, to be able to help them pay and stay. But also, affordability has a lot to do with where you are and who is speaking for you, right? And as a person in the 36th ward now, 26th ward currently, I've seen way too many people get pushed out. And so being able to listen to our neighbors when they say, hey, I live in affordable housing, but nobody's paying attention to what's happening here. I live in affordable housing and I want to stay here, but who's holding the developer or who's holding the manager accountable? And so those are the ways in which that affordability in the 36, the part that is Westtown and Humboldt Park, has to continue to exist by being accountable and being held accountable for how they manage and how they keep people housed.
Great. Question next there, yes.
Well, first of all, Lori, thank you so much for the work that you do at Monroe, which is a school in Logan Square in the 35th Ward. You are so well respected as an educator, as a leader in the Monroe community. My question to you is, we've seen more and more teachers get involved in the political process, right? And we've seen you and others on the front lines of fighting for fully funded schools, fighting for a nurse in every school, for a social worker in every school, for the things that our children need. If you can just kind of share why you think we're seeing this more and more with teachers on the front lines, not just on the fight for better schools, but for transforming our city for the better for everyone.
So, as a member of the Chicago Teachers Union, a very active one, and a member of their elected executive board, it has been our push and our work to represent the voices that go unheard. The reality is that many public schools in Chicago and the parents who send their kids there work to live. And because they work to live, their kids come to us and we hear things from them that make us be advocates at a level that, when I became a teacher, I had no intention of knowing that that's what I would become. The reality is that in the last 10 years, from the closing of 50 schools to today, you cannot see that those closures have impacted our city in ways that hit the news every day, right? And so it is important to me to push and work with members of city council who work for our people, who work for the communities and the people within them, and make them a priority and bring their stories and bring their urgencies to the forefront. As a teacher, I hear it every day. Did I go into this work to become an elected official at the city council? No. And it's time for our voices to have a seat at that table.
So you're in a room full of political nerds. We love the process of getting elected, so we like to call this the NDFA question: how do you win? What is your strategy? What is your budget, etc., etc.?
How do I win? I win by making connections with people at the door. I win by getting my name out there. I win by making sure we continue to have conversations with a group of volunteers who have shown up with us from October 1st through today. We win by recognizing the reality that at a certain point, I will have to bring on paid canvassers. at a certain point, I will have to make sure that the things that we already know about the incumbent are known to everyone else, but also in contrast to myself as a teacher and a mom who has worked in this city to make sure that others are heard. In terms of campaign, we've raised about $70,000 so far. It is our goal that by January we are closer to 100,000. And you know, it comes with phone banking and text messaging and mailers and polls and all the other good stuff that help lead our discussion.
That's 10 minutes.
So, did you want to quickly give some campaign information, and then we'll start?
Absolutely. So this is a people-powered campaign. My website, towardsfor36.com. Feel free to take a look. I brought some flyers to give you some basic information about what you'll find there. If you are so inclined to help us out at the doors, again, 8 miles worth of people. Some of that information is there as well as on the website. But I hope to have the support of the people in this room and the people who you all branch out to help me be able to get my word out there and my message out there so that the people of the 36 recognize that there is an option and an alternative that will listen and bring their voice to the table. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Okay, so next up, we're going to hear from Rebecca Janowitz, who's running in the 43rd Ward. And I've known Rebecca for a while from criminal justice reform circles, so I'm really excited she's here with us this evening.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm from the south side. Good evening. You yell good evening back. How you doing? Thank you. My name's Rebecca Janowitz. I'm running for alderman in the 43rd Ward. I've had a really weird career, so I thought I'd share a few highlights with you. I grew up in Chicago. I went to college in Great Britain. I learned there how wonderful it is to live in a country that provides medical care to everyone, and that's a lesson I've never forgotten. I came back to Chicago. I went to law school, and then I went to South Dakota to provide legal services on the Pine Ridge Reservation, which gave me an incredible experience. In the course of a week, I could appear in tribal court, in state court, or in federal court. If you are a lawyer in South Dakota, they have no public defenders. So if you are a lawyer and you set foot in the state, you're automatically a public defender, and any judge can appoint you to represent any person charged with any crime, and they feel like appointing you.
Damn.
So you have a very interesting life. It was a fantastic experience. I came back to Chicago, went to work at the jail, where I was focused on 2 areas. One was providing some real education, particularly for the younger guys coming through, and we managed to set up a program whereby people could finish high school, but not at a high school labeled the high school at the jail, but earn the credits and get their diplomas from the last high school they'd attended, which I felt was very important in terms of moving their life forward without stigma. I worked a lot with to find housing for people released from jails and prison, and I went on doing that work later when my old friend Tony Preckwinkle became the Cook County Board President. I went down to an organization called the Justice Advisory Council, and we focused a lot on housing, education, and employment, and I really saw what a change, what a difference you can make in people's lives when they are able to have sustainable employment. And we were able to do a lot with folks in those circumstances. Yes. Now I'd be happy to take questions.
And this is my first time doing this, so I forgot to ask you to step into the light. For other candidates in the room, step into the light. Also, this is my first time doing this at these meetings. For anyone who was on the Police District Council Forum last night, you'll know that I insist on concise questions. Also, since we're streaming on Facebook Live, Rebecca as a candidate is going to have to repeat the question, so keep it short so that she doesn't have to tell your life story. So no offense to any of our previous questioners. Yes.
Just to keep it short, I would ask, what are your top 1 to 3 public safety priorities?
Absolutely. We need to raise the clearance rate of shootings in Chicago to restore some more confidence in our system. We need to have a system that's more sensitive to people with mental health issues when they come into the criminal justice system. And we need to do a much better job of keeping younger people out of the system. It's not as hard as we act like it is. We can really do that, and those would be my 3 top priorities.
Thank you.
Nobody even has a cousin in jail? Chris?
I had a family member in jail once, but that's a while ago. But what I was going to say is, in regards to fighting crime, especially like whether it's mental people like maybe be risk for mental illness, or maybe instead of over policing, you might want a social worker, someone who's more equipped to handle mental illness. But at the same time, now in regards to someone who's not mental illness, young person committing crimes and whatever economic issues them or their families might have, do you believe in overfunding the police, or do you believe in community engagement more?
I believe in putting the money where we need it, which is in the services for the kids and to support employment. And supporting employment, I see very broadly, having a really functional public transportation system and having it get everywhere. That supports employment. Those are the basic things that really support employment. And then once you are employed, making sure that you're aware of the opportunities you have to advance. We have some fantastic opportunities available through job training programs, through our community colleges, and not everybody knows about those programs or gets the support they need to make those things work for them. I spent a great deal of time when I was at the jail just handing out bus cards, and bus cards are very helpful. I won't apologize for that.
So I have a question. In the Lincoln Park community then, where I think a lot of your neighbors are calling for increased policing, enhancing the surveillance state, how do you convey that message that investing in prevention and community is what works?
I try to convey it respectfully and without some of the jokes that I feel like making. We need to...
You can tell us.
My husband's giving me the eye. Really, we need to ratchet down on all the cameras and all the monitoring. We need to bring back the talking to people, the saying good morning, the making people feel safer by just being courteous to them and assisting them. We do have people who are legitimately concerned about their safety when they go out because they're elderly, they feel like they're targets, those sorts of things. So we need to be more helpful, we need to be more supportive of those folks. I would say that some of my young justice-involved kids, who tend to be very respectful of their grandparents, would be just the people to assist those people, maybe at a bus stop or someplace like that. We just have to look more broadly at all of the human potential that we have here. And that includes the police, by the way, because there's a tendency in more progressive circles to just dismiss everyone in the police department, and that is not fair. There are advocates there too. Not everybody, but there are advocates there. Oh, come on, no more questions?
Joe, do you want to ask your question?
Hold on. Sorry, I had to turn the Beatles off there. How do you win? What is your strategy? What is your...
First of all, I put a lot of my own money into my campaign. I ran some years ago when I didn't have so much money, and so I'm a great believer that money talks and money walks in politics in Chicago, so I put some money in. I also have an amazing, talented circle of friends who are coming out to help me, who share my views on these issues, and a lot of them are much better than I am at giving me effective ways to deliver my message. And so I've had a lot of help from those folks. A lot of my friends are deeply engaged in this work, And they would really like to have an advocate on the city council, someone who would listen to them, not just once in a while when something terrible happens and they say that you got to go down there and talk to these people. They want somebody there who will listen to them day in and day out, to look at what we should continue to do, but other things that we need to just stop doing. Maybe that wasn't the note to end on.
Well, how about take a couple seconds and end on the note that you want to end on?
Well, the note that I want to end on is please help me. I actually know a lot about this stuff and I'm very committed to it. I don't know as many people as you do, particularly as all of you do collectively. I would love to meet your friends. I will go literally anywhere to talk about this stuff. I would love to meet people. Do not run around making hors d'oeuvres. Just invite me someplace where I would have the opportunity to talk to people and to answer their questions. The real stuff comes out when you're answering people's questions. Even if the questions aren't the best informed, and even if some of them are based on information from 10 years ago or just personal prejudice. But that's where we have the conversations that would help me get elected, but it would also lay the groundwork for being more cooperative among a broader group of people in facing up to the problems that we do have as a city.
Great. And where can people find information about your campaign?
I have a website. If you can spell my last name correctly, Janowitz, you will be able to find me online. Not because I put it up there, trust me. I have zero computer skills. Absolutely, actually, my children say I have negative computer skills. But I will go anywhere to talk to any group. I will in Yiddish reden. There's still some people, older people in the community who would like a little bit of the Mamalushu, and I'm there for you. But I will come and bring charts if you want charts. I will come and bring friends if you want to hear from some other folks who are involved in the community, particularly people who have successfully exited the criminal justice system. All of those things are part of my campaign, and I'm really happy to provide that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. Next up, we have Jesse Fuentes, who is a longtime educator and activist running in the 26th Ward.
Am I in the light? All right.
You're good, right?
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right.
You have 2 minutes or so to speak.
All right. Awesome. I am Jesse Fuentes. I am an educator, activist, policy advocate, and restorative justice practitioner out of the Humboldt Park community. I've spent most of my life growing up in the Northwest Side, and a lot of my political and professional career fighting for restorative justice to be the model in our schools, for our local schools to be fully funded, for social workers and counselors to be able to be fully represented and staffed in every school in our ward. I have spent over a decade fighting gentrification. For those of you guys that are familiar with Westtown and Humboldt Park know that it is a rapidly gentrifying community. And our working families have been pushed out and continue to be pushed out, and this has been a decade-long fight. I have also spent a good amount of my career ensuring that we have the investments required to grapple with the root causes of public safety concerns in the 26th Ward. We know that young people need adequate resources to be able to ensure that they are not engaging in the risky behaviors that turn into public safety concerns. In the 26th Ward, we only have one Boys and Girls Club and one YMCA. And families that send their young people to schools outside of their ward because they don't trust the system to fully educate their young people. And we have to change that, right? I'm running because we currently have an older person that's inaccessible, that has not committed or has not fulfilled his commitment to ensure that we sustain working families in the 26th Ward. Every family, every child deserves fully funded schools. mental health clinics, resources for after-school programming, restorative justice practices that ensure that we can re-enter returning citizens into the community with the proper wraparound services for them to be successful. And we also want to make sure that when we're talking about affordable housing, that we're also talking about housing folks who are experiencing homelessness, that we're also talking about affordable home ownership opportunities, that we're talking about every single component of what it means to sustain a working family in the 26th Ward. And if elected, I'll be the first woman elected to the seat and the first queer Latina from the 26th Ward. And we're extremely proud of the possibilities of what it means to win this seat.
Questions for Jesse?
I'm not asking the political question, but the phrase restorative justice is one that a lot of people bandy about, and I think it might be useful to talk about what that is, or specifically what you mean by that and how that would shape what you would do as an alderperson.
Absolutely. Restorative justice is a process that I believe everyone should be able to engage in. Often, perpetrators of violence were once victims of violence, right? But never were engaged in a process to heal from that pain. To be able to understand the perspective of the individual that caused the harm, and then how can we be in community and in conversation of how do we repair that harm. It's not enough to be punitive and to enter a carceral system without engaging in a process of healing. Because then we don't address the root causes of why that incident took place in the first place. And so restorative justice, and I spent 10 years in education, and I facilitated hundreds of peace circles and engaged in plenty of restorative conversations. And often the impact that the victim and the perpetrator of an incident feel when they are able to fully engage in a dialogue about the harm, the hurt, and why they're engaging in a vicious cycle of violence often is what can ensure that we are not repeating that same behavior, right? So we gotta be able to address the root causes of public safety concerns. If not, we'll be on a perpetual cycle of continuation.
Bienvenido, señorita.
Gracias.
Okay. Now, you said a big thing about your campaign will be fully funded schools. Big problem with that deals with property and sales tax. So, if elected, playing devil's advocate, that's a lot of money, land and sales. Would you promote or fight for things like TIF reform and or programs like a GSC, like having the city make its own insulin or being the developer of last resort? That way you'd have additional sources of income that would not hurt homeowners and renters already feeling the pinch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Both and. I also was on the committee for the fair tax bill, and I believe we got to get it back on the ballot, right? Because we have to ensure that we are taxing the rich so that they pay their fair share and we can fully sustain the families and the programs that are going to ensure we have thriving communities, right? So I also want to be transparent in that we have often put the burden on working families and homeowners, right? We have seen property taxes in the city of Chicago triple in the last decade, and homeowners, and I've knocked on doors for the last 3 months, and everywhere I go, a family is considering putting their house up for sale because they can't afford to live there. Many of them have paid off their houses, but the property taxes feel like a mortgage for retired families, low-income families. And so we need to ensure that we're creating a tax formula that allows us to sustain families, but get the revenue required to fully fund our schools and ensure that we're also putting forth quality programming for young people in our community so that we can grapple with the root causes of violence.
Yes.
Would you therefore favor a tax on real estate transfers? And in fact, could that tax eventually maybe replace standard property taxes? Because you wouldn't pay it until the house is sold or whatever. But would that, could that be one solution? I know that's been proposed to raise money for more affordable housing.
Yes, so I would absolutely support a real estate tax transfer. I do believe that is another creative avenue to ensuring that we get the revenue required to fully fund schools and our communities.
Can we move on to the next person? Yeah. I just want to check and see if anyone else can see us.
That's fine, that's fine.
Okay, go ahead, Chris.
All right, I'll be quick. As a fellow Northwest Sider, like I grew up around Belmont, Craig, and Hermoso. That's my old stomping grounds back in the day. And when I hear restorative justice coming out of you, it's just like I remember like some friends. I was never gang affiliated, obviously, but I had friends that were, and someone went through a really fucked up path, which is sad. And they had great potential. So hearing that coming from you is very refreshing, basically. So that's wonderful. But at the same time, now when it comes to restorative justice and challenges from the police department, because like not all cops are friendly. Let's just say they'll challenge you on that. How do you plan on taking that on when law enforcement challenges you on that?
Yeah, I think it's a very simple response, right? What we are seeing today is a result of hard-on crime. What we're seeing today is not at all the implementation of restorative justice practices. And so something has to give. Something has to change, right? And, you know, for me, I think I don't want a cop to be a social worker, a de-escalator, or any of those things. In fact, I want to make sure that those areas and those professions are invested in. And so we need more social workers. We need more mental health clinics. What we are seeing today, and the violence, and you know, some of us have been boots on the ground over the Verilon shooting and the family that was impacted by that shooting outside of a family party. A lot of people on social media have said, well, this is the results of the Safety Act. It's not, right? What we have to ensure that we are putting forth is dispelling some of the myths that the reason we have crimes in our neighborhoods is because of restorative justice practices. Is not. We have not yet had the opportunity to fully implement such a framework that can grapple with the root causes of violence. And so I am a firm believer that when we provide adequate resources, quality resources, culturally competent resources to our communities, that we will begin to see a safer city in the city of Chicago.
Great, thank you. And where can people find more information about your campaign, and what kind of help do you need from the group?
Absolutely, Jesse426ward.com, and we know to any successful campaign is messaging. We believe we have that. I am privileged to be a part of a Northwest Progressive Coalition of candidates that actually NDFA has supported, endorsed by Rosana Rodriguez, Delia Ramirez, Lillian Jimenez, and so many other folks who have been doing the work and shaking it up and ensuring that we serve working families. But it's also money, right? Right, there's message, there's money, and then there's mobilization. And the way that we can help build a successful campaign and continue the momentum is to get more boots on the ground and more money in the bank. And so we're hoping to count on that. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, our last candidate, Victoria Alvarez from the 15th Ward. Hi, Victoria. So to introduce yourself.
Awesome. All right, thank you all for welcoming the Southwest Sider. Back here. Perfect. My name is Victoria Alvarez, better known as sometimes Vico. Feel free to call me Vico. Also, as far as the North Side is concerned, better known as the 33rd Ward, Rosana Rodriguez's former Chief of Staff. That's how I know some people here in this room. I am a former labor organizer. I spent nearly a decade of my life committed to the labor movement as a student undergraduate at the University of Chicago, and then I moved on to be a full-time union organizer with the United Steelworkers Union. I know it probably doesn't look like it, but I promise you it's true. And after that, I've always wanted to engage with working families in one way or another. So first it was labor, next it was through the arts. I'm a firm believer in the power of art for social and emotional learning, especially culturally relevant art as it relates to many working class neighborhoods. So I was a teaching artist in Inglewood and engaged part for some years. And after that, I sort of just seized the opportunity that came in front of me to be the chief of staff at the 33rd Ward office, and I'm so glad that I did take that opportunity. It was that office that showed me that governing can look different, that governing at a municipal level can be with the community, not against the community. On the southwest side in the 15th Ward, we have unfortunately had nearly 8 years of an alderperson who governs against their community and not in their better interest, but very much is destructive. My entire experience has been to uplift families so that they can empower themselves, so that they have the tools, the information, be it in the workplace, in a classroom, or on their block, to be able to fight for the issues that they care about, and that's exactly why I'm running. Having worked at a ward office, I realized that there are so many opportunities that we are missing, that our alderperson, the incumbent, is not taking advantage of, and I want to change that. I want to provide information. I want families to be able to uplift themselves. Thank you.
Questions? Anybody? Oh.
What are some opportunities the alderman is missing that you'd like to take advantage of?
What are some of the missing opportunities you might take advantage of?
Yeah, there is a severe lack of information as to what an aldermanic office even does. There is this idea that gets promoted by some older people that if they get you a trash can, they've saved your life. That is the gold standard of what an alderman does. And that's how they campaign. They campaign a lot by boasting about neighborhood services. Meanwhile, we have moms in back of the yards that are pushing for a state-of-the-art, stand-alone public library, and they go to their alderperson to get information to try to liaison with the library, and they get nothing. We have a grocery store. We have 2 grocery stores, 2 major grocery stores on the southwest side that have closed. I'm sure many people heard about the Whole Foods in Inglewood, and we have another grocery store in back of the yards that has closed. We have neighbors that have gone to the aldermanic office in the 15th Ward to try to figure out what's going on. Why did it close? Is something new planned for that area that isn't going to benefit our neighborhoods, and we get nothing. So that is a major opportunity, is just people not getting very critical information that affects their immediate block.
Other questions?
It'll be a lot quicker, Becky, I promise. I was going to say, in regards, you mentioned 2 major stores closed down in the area, and the last alderperson didn't do much about it. Now, how would you bring back both the big stores and at the same time have maybe helping reinvest in the local economy, small businesses or small retail stores as well? What's your plan to make that part of the community thrive economically?
So here's the beautiful thing about the 15th Ward is that we have 6 different neighborhoods, and every single one of them has very active community organizing, and the missing link is that municipal office. So we already have, I would say especially in West Inglewood, a huge community of urban farmers and small business owners, whether they are vendors at different markets or they're starting to build brick and mortar. They're already doing the work. They've already done the research on what permits they need, what buildings they're looking at, and how to expand. The problem is that they don't always get the advocacy from their local office. So I actually very much want to follow their leadership and make sure that I just give them what they need to be able to continue to support their local efforts.
So, I don't know who this alderman is, but how is he or she still in office?
The alderman of the 15th Ward is Raymond Lopez.
Off with his head.
The Antichrist.
Quite the reputation. And I would say that they are still in office because we have had so many elected officials on the southwest side who have claimed to be about the community. They have failed us once they get into those positions. And then unfortunately, we don't want to come out again and vote. So we have a lot of inactive registered voters. I don't think it's a mystery that we have pretty low voter turnout on the southwest side. It's whatever the numbers are up here, it's probably half or lower for the southwest side. It's a lot of disenchantment. That's a big hurdle for us as we go to the doors. I have to really sell myself. I have to really encourage them to trust my experience. Never in my life have I sold out my community, and I just need them to trust me that I am different. And that's actually why part of our strategy is to target some of those former Bernie voters that haven't come out since. I think those voters came out because they had hope in something. Somebody gave them something to believe in, so they decided my vote was worth it, right? And we want to encourage that same sentiment with our campaign. So it's unfortunately very low voter engagement, and that's part of why he continues to get his seat.
And you answered the question I always ask.
We don't have a lot of time left, but
It'll be very quick. So do you have a win number? How many votes do you need to win?
Between 2,700 and 3,000.
Gesundheit.
Nothing to sneeze at.
Are you running in the 15th ward, and you were a chief of staffer for the 33rd ward alderman, is that right?
Yes.
So you're running in the 15th ward against Lopez, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I had quite the commute when I had to come to work up here, but I regret nothing.
okay, if you want to talk about how you're going to win, not just how many votes you need, and then give us some campaign information.
Absolutely. So we are, of course, targeting frequent voters, but as I mentioned earlier, we are also targeting those voters who feel like they need something to believe in. It's a mix. We can't ignore either of those sections of voters. We are also carrying through a message of public resources as the top priority for the Southwest side. We definitely used to be a ward neighborhoods full of thriving businesses. We definitely used to have youth rec centers. This is talking back in the 70s and 80s, right? But as it came to be neighborhoods that are more, let's be honest, black and brown, there was a severe disinvestment. So we have not always been in the position that we are today, and we need to reinvest in our neighborhood. So that's our big message. And then providing as much information as I can based on my experience. So participatory budgeting and community-driven zoning are quite the hit in the 15th ward because we've never had that. We've never had an alder person ask us for our ideas on how to spend the infrastructure budget. We've never had an alderman do a voting process for how a zoning change was going to be made. We've never been engaged in that way. So when they hear that I've done that, I literally led those efforts in the ward office that I worked at. It's pretty popular.
Okay, want to give us your email address?
Oh, yes. I have plenty of business cards, let me know. Our email address is info@vico415.com. That's VICKOFOR, the number 15.com.
And website.
Vico415.com. Everything is Vico for 15. We seize that immediately. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to have the endorsement session right after we wrap this up with a couple items. And so, but don't forget, next month's meeting is Wednesday, January 11th. Any other announcements?
Just a couple quick things. So the January meeting, we are hoping to have a mayoral forum. We're going to ask for your help. In about a day or two, we're going to send out a little poll. We want to know whom you would like to see and hear from. And that is where we will set it up. We will also let you know where the location is. We may need a slightly bigger location than this. No offense to Fireside, but you know. That is going to be important, so please do that. Again, tomorrow, 6:30. If you are on our email page, you will get a link, but also on our Facebook page will be the second of the two forums for the police community boards for the North Side. Becky will be in charge again. She's awesome at it. And then, okay, so in the interest of complete transparency, we don't know how many of you read Politico, but if you did, you discovered something that we also discovered for the first time, and that is, as of tomorrow, it appears that the National Democracy for America organization will no longer exist. We will still be here.
Hell yeah.
Northside DFA will be here. We are going strong. Hell, we'll be free agents. You know, Ted Hoyer has some money. We'll take it. We're not ashamed. But just so in case you do hear, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't affect us insofar as we've got a budget. We've got endorsements. We've got people. We're going to keep doing. We are going to keep working. And again, if another organization thinks an organization that has a lot of experience helping out elections, bringing boots to the ground, bringing communities together would be helpful, flirt with us.
So we are going strong, but it's also a lesson not to take it for granted that NDFA will be here in perpetuity. So tip jar, tip jar, tip jar.
Can I just one thing?
And
We're going to endorsement section.
Yes.
If somebody hasn't checked in, if somebody is a voting member,
please
doesn't have
check
their card,
in, or if we don't have your email address, quick, go to Mary. We need you.
One more very quick thing. Again, we thank our friends at Fireside, but we do want everybody to know that we're going to finish our business, and we need to actually be done in this main room at 9 o'clock. So any post-game, we will go next door where they have a lovely bar and lots of TVs for basketball and football, probably not football, basketball and hockey games, and we can carry on the conversation next door, just FYI.
Right.
Great. Yeah, just less than 5 minutes, and then if you are being endorsed this session, you can't be here while we're talking about endorsements.
When you're talking about that endorsement.
That endorsement, right. It's the lawyer. And that's it. So we'll see you in just a couple minutes for the endorsement session.
Thank you.
thank you.
Oh, that's right. I'm so sorry. That's right.